Welcome, my political friends of the interwebs. I swear to you, the blood literally just shot out of my eyes after reading this freaking article. I wish I could have got it on camera. Yes, you're just going to take my word for it. This article I ran into is titled, This U.S. Summer is What Global Warming Looks Like. It's an article by Seth Bornstein. Also, well, from this point on, he'll be named Retard Seth. But he writes for the Associated Pinheads. And it's really kind of... it's one of those stories that if it wasn't so ridiculous, I would be laughing. Well, and I shouldn't say... You know what? Maybe that's the wrong way to put it. If it wasn't so... You know, I'm at a loss for words. Honestly, I am literally at a loss for words. Because people like Moron Seth, or Retard Seth, write these stories, these retard stories, that do nothing but perpetuate the brainwashing of the masses. Now, here's why that's important. Because of stories like this, and because of the effect that it has on the human psyche, you know, I mean, literally a Chicken Little, the sky is falling, freaking everybody out. Because of stories like this, U.S. policy is shaped. And, you know, literally costing tens of thousands of jobs of real Americans who are losing their houses and because they cannot pay their mortgage because they're no longer working, who are literally not able to put food on the table. Well, now they're on a government check, so they can put food on the table, but they can't put their kids through school. All right, the funny thing is, here's the thing. This summer is what global warming looks like. All right, they've taken the recent storms. Okay, well, let me read you a little bit of this. It says, if you want a glimpse of some of the worst of global warming, scientists suggest taking a look at U.S. weather in recent weeks. Now, the reason blood was shooting out of my eyes, okay, is because I remember 2 winters ago, now not this last winter, but the winter before, when we had a lot of snow, and it was very, very cold. And people like me were throwing it in the faces of the climate changers, global warming people. And 2 things happened. All right. One, they would try to say, well, because of global warming, it's putting more moisture in the atmosphere, therefore it's coming down as snow. Of course, that didn't really explain why it was so freaking cold. Okay, we were setting record cold. I mean, they were literally record cold. So the other comeback that they would say, it would be like, well, you know, and they would get so pompous when they would say this. They'd get up on their pseudo-intellectual horses, look down at me with their snooty noses and say, you, sir, do not understand and are not capable of comprehending the difference between climate and weather. I swear to God, made me puke a little bit in my mouth every time they would say something stupid like that. So, fast forward 2 years, and you've got a situation where, okay, we've had some extreme weather. We've had some pretty hot weather. It's called a heat wave, okay? In fact, I just seen on the news yesterday that there was a weather record that was broke, one of the many that was broke, and that record had held since I think it was 32 or 1933. You know, the year of the SUV craze in the United States. And, you know, the year of, that was the year they first started burning coal, I believe. They never burned coal or drove automobiles before that. No, or since. So here's the thing. So you've got these idiots, okay, who are looking at, you know, these wildfires that are going on, the droughts, the floods. You know, forget the fact that back in the 30s we had a thing called the Dust Bowl. Okay, you know, forget the fact that we've seen this before. I have a very good friend of mine who lives in Colorado. She's been out there for 25 years, and she said that this year is the 4th year since she's been out there in 25 years where she has seen this kind of weather and this kind of fires and whatnot. 4 times. She used to, in fact, when she first went out there, not long after high school, she was a firefighter. So she did. And so, yeah, I mean, this happens. It doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen. You know, I mean, it's part of the normal cycle of things, for God's sakes. You know, and if you read this story, the disgusting thing about it is that it does say in here that they basically say, well, let me get to it. It says scientifically linking individual weather events to climate change takes intense study, complicated mathematics, computer models, and lots of time. Sometimes it isn't caused by global warming. Weather is always veritable. Freak things happen. No shit, Sherlock. But yet that doesn't stop them from going, well, look, if you want to see what global warming is going to look like, hey, right, look out the window. Look at all these records being set. I just wonder what they were saying in 1932 or 33 when the original record was apparently set. Were they saying that it's Zen times and, we've now got hell on earth? I mean, these alarmists, these climate alarmists, they're having a horrible negative effect on us economically. And people like Retard Seth is pushing this nonsense. I watched the other day, I was watching Bill Nye the Science Guy. Freaking hack. High school science teaching hack. Not qualified to teach in a high school. So now he's peddling this nonsense on television. And he was one of these so-called people pointing to the warm weather and pointing to the this and that as a proof positive of climate change. Well, you would say, well, he's a science guy. He's Bill Nye the Science Guy. Why would he just make this shit up? Well, let me tell you something. Bill Nye the Science Guy has a dog in the fight. Okay? He's got himself a show over there on Planet Green or the Green Channel, whatever the hell they call it. Okay? The Earth Liberation Front channel, I don't freaking know. It's one of the high cable channels. And he's got a dog. He makes money pushing this nonsense. Retard Seth, from the Associated Pinheads, he makes money from peddling this nonsense. Everybody's making money except for your miners, your truck drivers, your power company workers, everybody in between. They're not making money. They're losing their livelihoods. But that's okay because Retard Seth gets to have a sensational story. This summer is what global warming looks like. And then you go on to read the article and you realize that, well, not really. Or at the very least, it's nothing they can prove. You know who's laughing at us? I'll tell you who's laughing at us. Laughing all the way to the freaking bank. And that's China and Russia. China and Russia can't believe what's going on. I mean, it must it must be like one giant communist wet dream. The industrialized free countries of the West are screwing themselves. Putin's got to be laughing his ass off watching this nonsense go down. You know what Putin's doing, by the way, while we're hamstringing ourselves and making energy very, very expensive and making our manufacturing capabilities in this country so expensive that it's almost non-existent. You know what Putin's doing? He's out doing an unrun to Antarctica trying to get the oil and gas. He's making claims to Antarctica. He's planting the flag. And he's laughing his ass off. He's like, holy shit, this is too good to be true. And China's like, well, shit, we almost don't even have to subsidize our companies anymore. Our manufacturers can produce shit so much cheaper than they can in the United States because, hell, in the United States, factories can't afford to turn the light switch on. I mean, it's, I gotta laugh at this because it's just amazing to me. Absolutely amazing to me. Watching the West, watching the United States put a man on the freaking moon. Which by the way, I have yet to see one of these Greenpeace nut jobs explain to me how we are going to launch satellites with windmill-powered freaking rockets. Compressed unicorn farts is the method I guess they plan on using. It's if it wasn't so devastating to so many people in the United States, it wouldn't bother me as much. I could care less what Europe does to themselves. You know, Europe's always been goofy. You know, I mean, before we, listen, let's cut the bullshit. Before the United States got involved in Europe, they were busy killing each other every few years by the droves. You know, and then we go over there, we put a stop to that nonsense at a very high cost of our own blood and treasure. You know, and I guess they've just, you know, they just can't help themselves. They're their own worst enemies in a lot of ways. Unfortunately, their contagion has affected North America. You know, now the Canadians, you know, they've always been kind of pseudo-European anyway. I mean, there's some good Canadians, but you know, the French can. Well, you know, I'm going to talk about Canadians. Canadians are Canadians. They're kind of like that goofy cousin that, you know, he comes over on Thanksgiving and you just kind of like bite your tongue and go, "Good Lord," yeah. So, and oh, by the way, to my Canadian subscribers, I do extend my apologies. You know? So, I'm watching my country that I love. It's the country of my birth. And I'm watching them just anally rape themselves repeatedly. You know, destroying our industry and destroying our ability to generate electricity. And this whole green boondoggle nonsense. You know, I tell you what, I was going to make a separate video about this, but what the hell? Here's another solar company that it's going under. Yeah, Abound Solar. It's to suspend operations and will seek bankruptcy. Just more of your tax dollars up a hog's ass, shot up a hog's ass. You know, just the latest in this green energy nonsense. Because, you know, here's the funny thing, okay? Here's the ironic twist to the whole freaking mess. 50% of the solar panels in the United States that are installed are made in China. You know, one of my best friends works for First Energy. Okay, they make solar panels. Guess what? They can't compete. They cannot compete with China. Now, they're trying to keep a nostril above water with government subsidies, but ultimately, in all honesty, you can't compete with China. China doesn't have a problem with using cheap electricity to manufacture goods. You know, not to mention, I mean, it's everything. It's not just the cheap energy in China, because China embraces coal. You know, they build, you know, a lot of people are coal in China. They build a brand spanking new coal burning power plant every week when it comes online. Every week. Because their economy is growing they need the energy, and coal is good, cheap, dependable energy. You know, it's one of the sources of energy, the really main source of energy that made the United States great. You know, if you're going to make steel, you better have coal. And see, that's the thing, you know, these Greenpeace people, they just don't understand. Part of it is because they've been so indoctrinated from school. You hear parents talking about their kids coming home, little kids in grade school, going, "We've got to save the Mother Earth." What? Let me tell you something. I don't have kids. But the minute my third or fourth or fifth grader came home talking about how we've got to save Mother Earth, my ass would be down there at that elementary school in that principal's face, saying, "What kind of nonsense are you pulling? What kind of brainwashing is going on here? It's going to stop." You know, and that's the thing. You got these young people, and they're coming out of high school, and they're coming out of college, and they've been hearing for over a decade now about how, you know, the United States is polluting the water and the air and all this freaking nonsense, and we've got to quit using coal, and we've got to embrace wind power, and blah, 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 blah. If it wasn't for the evil oil companies and evil coal companies, we'd already be there, blah, 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 blah. This is the nonsense that that's been pushed on them forever now. You know? I mean, it's just unbelievable. Oh, it's endless. And then we've got people like, you know, retard Seth going on about stupidity that, you know, this is what it would look like if we could prove any of it. You know, but of course we can't. Fuck. You know, they're talking about records being broke that have been standing since the early 30s. I'm running out of time. I gotta go. It's just, and besides, my blood pressure, my head's about to pop. Everybody take care.